Welcome back. It's day 4 of the 5 days to fill my freezer. I am currently working on sweets for the freezer. I'm going to start out by making an apple cake, and this has been on my list of things to make for so long, so I'm excited to finally get to it. So I'm going to add in a stick of melted butter. I'm going to get 3 eggs. And the reason that I've had this on my list for so long is I had a can of apple pie filling, and I happened to have this boxed cake mix from when I was going to make Nick's birthday cake, and I never ended up making it because I got sick, and so I just wanted to use it up, and this looks delicious. So we need to get a 1/4 cup of water. Now, if you're wondering why I'm calling this freezer meals, it's because this is going to make a whole 9 by 13 dish of cake, and we're only a family of 2, and we don't need that much cake. So I'm going to freeze quite a bit of it in individual portions, and we will have them all throughout the fall. That'll be great because apple is such a great fall flavor. That's it for the cake. I just got to get the mix in there, and then we'll mix it up. We have 3 layers to this cake. The next layer is going to be an apple pie filling, and we just need to mix some cinnamon in with it. And then that'll be followed by a crumb layer. Crumb layers are so delicious. And then actually, I guess there's 4 because after it comes out, there is a glaze that goes on top of it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Making a mess. Okay, let's see. The crumb topping is going to be 1/2 cup of oats, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, and a 1/4 cup of flour. Whoa. And you could add nuts if you wanted to. I'm not going to add nuts. I thought about it, and now I'm thinking I'm not going to. Okay, I'm just going to mix this with the spoon. Actually, maybe with my hand. So despite this having many layers, it's going to come together really quickly, and I hope it's going to be really delicious. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get our pie filling into here because it wants cinnamon with it. Well, or should I just sprinkle cinnamon? You know what I'm going to do? Okay, calling an audible. I'm actually just going to put the cinnamon in here because this is going right on top of that. And so that's basically the same thing, right? Now the other things I'm going to make is I'm going to make some chocolate chip cookies, which I have a story with those. Actually, I have quite a few fun stories for you today. The chocolate chip cookies, though, are so good. Let me spray this. Perfect timing. You know how long it's been since I've made something like this, like a whole cake? I don't often do that because that's a lot of cake. I'm just going to give this a scrape and make sure that the bottom all is mixed in. I think it is. This looks like it has food coloring in it. I wonder if it does. Probably. Actually, it definitely does, because I'm seeing it kind of mix funny. Alright, so we need to take 1/2 of this, get it down here. My only goal here is to try to make it so the bottom isn't showing, because I feel like we don't want the apple pie filling straight on the bottom. It's kind of making me think of fall. We're not ready for fall yet. Okay, next up is this crumb topping. And the rest of the batter. Gotta say, the boxed cake mix dough does not look appetizing compared to a homemade cake mix. It kind of looks like yellow pudding. Let's see if we can get this spread out at all. I'm going to call that good enough. We need to get this in for about 30 to 35 minutes, 350 degrees. So I'm going to make just a standard chocolate chip cookie. And this is interesting. I recently made 2 different types of chocolate chip cookies, so I was thinking which one did I like the best. So I just got 2 sticks of butter in here, And now I've been on the lookout for a really good chocolate chip cookie recipe for a long time. I like a soft inside but crunchy outside cookie, and I really hadn't found it. I definitely don't like the pudding cookies. Those are too soft. So recently I found a recipe that I liked. It was the one where I put it in my jar that I had out, like the pre-mixed, and I was like, this is really good. And we didn't even do like the mix the butter with everything. It was just dump it all in, and it worked out well. Now that was surprising. And then I also made the maraschino cherry chocolate chip cookies, and I really liked those as well. And I was like, well, which one is better? So I wrote them both out, and the one in the jar was half the size of the maraschino cherry one, but they were the exact same recipe except for the one that was like a ready mix called for 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. That was the only difference out of them. So cool that I found the same recipe and liked it twice. But also, what does that do? Maybe is that because we were mixing them all together at once and that helped? I'm not quite sure. That was a cup of sugar. I'm going to add a smidgen of vanilla. And I need a cup of brown sugar as well. My brown sugar is frozen. Okay, I'd say we've got it. I'm going to get these all creamed together. The recipe doesn't call for salt. I'm gonna add a little pinch. Okay, that's all mixed together. I probably should have done just like the butter and the sugar first, but considering this recipe is one that I had previously just mixed everything together, I think we're just fine. I'm going to get 3 cups of flour in here. And then a teaspoon of baking soda. That all got up on the sides. I need to get the chocolate chips in. It says 1/2 cup to a cup for a half a recipe. So it's between 1 to 2 cups. I usually go kind of light on the chocolate chips because it's actually not my favorite part. Start with just that. Okay, I'd say we're good. Debating on if I want to cook any of them, and I think I probably do. Because the whole goal here is to fill my freezer so that when we want a cookie, we can just take them out and cook them either in the air fryer or in the oven. I like doing both. Okay, I am just going to scoop out a 2 tablespoon scoop worth, and then I will flash freeze these, and then I'll just put them in a baggie. So these can be really close together. And then for the ones I'm going to cook, I will leave them a little further apart on a different sheet. If you haven't ever done this, this is one of the most convenient things, and I like them so much better when they're homemade than when they're just like the store-bought ones that you can break apart. And you know, I'm not even gonna go through and roll them. I think these are gonna be just fine. Okay, we got 6 by 7, so we got 42 cookies exactly, plus a little half of a cookie. I'm going to probably make 6 of them and put the rest in the freezer to flash freeze. Maybe I'll make this little one that doesn't have any chocolate chips. Let's see. We'll do that. I don't want to put them in at the same time as the cake. The cake has 5 minutes, so it says. We'll see if it takes longer. 5 minutes is the shortest of the time. So we will just do okay, that one will just end up being super crunchy probably. I'm going to get these in the freezer to flash freeze, and then we are going to make some candy. I know we've been making a lot of candy, and that's kind of cheating. That's not really a freezer meal, but I need to get my candy restocked a little, and I went on a tour at a candy factory, and I wanted to tell you all about it. Okay, let's take this out. The top looks a little overdone, but it was, I don't know, it was still wet inside a few minutes ago. I am going to get these in at 375 for about 10 to 12 minutes. And we are going to try to make some caramel. Now it's been a minute since I've made this caramel, but it worked. So the last caramel I made did not work, which was interesting. So what we're going to do is get a half of a stick of butter in, which is a 1/4 cup. And then we're going to add a half of a cup of all the other ingredients, which is brown sugar, white sugar, sweetened condensed milk, and corn syrup. And we just need to stir this every minute for 5 minutes. You can do this in the microwave as well, but I'm always afraid that it's gonna boil over and that the container that I have it in has to be microwave safe, and I don't want that to burn me either. Now I feel like I might need to put this handle on to stir this. I'm gonna get it all mixed together first, and then we'll let it sit. Now I probably should look up a temperature to see exactly what the right temperature for soft caramels are. That's what I'll do. I'll do that. And in the meantime, while this is cooking away, I wanna show you all of the footage that I got from when we went to Hammond's Candies, which is in Denver, Colorado. We were able to go on a tour and look through their little shop, and that was so much fun since I have been so into making candy recently. So here is the footage of that. Nick and I just celebrated our 8-year wedding anniversary, and so we decided to make a whole day out of it, and one of the stops that we made was to Hammond's Candies. We have never been there. I've lived in Denver since 1994 and didn't even realize that this exists, and we know that I am obsessed with making candy these days. I've been watching Hercules Candy on YouTube for years. They're based in Syracuse, New York, so nowhere near me, but look at this, right in my own backyard, there is a candy factory. So it was very cool. We got to go on a tour. This is the production room. This is where they make all the candy. Some days they do some types of candy, other days they do others. On this day, they are doing hard candy and they're making candy canes. And I missed the coolest part, which was 2 men bringing a huge roll of candy to this front roller. It was crazy because those rolls are so heavy. Now this one that the guy has, that's probably easily 50 to 60 pounds. That's just based on what I see at Hercules and how big they say it is compared to how big this looks. The one that the guys brought over was probably 2 to 3 times that size, and there were 2 of them carrying it. It was crazy. So it was cool to watch this. This room is so hot because they are making all of the candy in there. And then the room next to it is where they package the candy, and on the hallway they have all of this history, which is really cool. They also started the tour with a video talking about the history of the factory, and that was cool to watch as well, especially since I know a little bit about how to make candy, even hard candies, since I haven't made any of those on my own, but I watched enough videos on it to understand what they were doing, so that was pretty cool. So this is just super cute little wall over there, and then here's where they package the candy, and then in the back is where they make marshmallows, but they weren't making marshmallows when we were there. So then I went to the front of the store, which is the actual store, and I just fell in love with all of their chocolates. They had all of the kinds of candy. They had ribbon candy, they had candy canes, they had marshmallows, you name it, but the chocolates and the truffles is really where my heart lies because that's what I've been making so much of recently. And these were just so cute. We ended up getting about 6 of them to share, and that was too many pieces of candy because we ate them all in the same day. But they were so good, and now I just want to make even more and more candies and really hone in my skill. I think a lot of it has to do with what mold you use, but also they had a lot of fun colors. So I am looking for natural coloring options. So if you know any options for making natural colors, let me know because I'm not really wanting to do a ton of artificial food dyes, but I mean, I still want them to be cute. So that's where I lie right now. But look at all these candy canes. Isn't this crazy? I've never seen this many candy canes in July before. Now, I did have to get, of course, one still photo and then a few pictures with me in it. So it was such a fun time, and I might go back to see them do chocolate someday. I'm also going to get ready over here. I have a hot pad and a container. I'm going to grease it. Okay, here's my first stir after it's been a minute. I'm hoping the little brown bits are it caramelizing and not burning. Okay, we'll give it another minute. Now it's really important to not touch this mixture. It is so hot. So we're looking for around 235 to 250. And I just want to see where we're at now. I know we're not there yet. Oh, actually, we are getting close. Is that right though? Let's mix it. It's so watery. I couldn't imagine that we're there. The first thing I read said 300 and something. This is saying 250. Now I'm seeing so many different results. Okay, have a minute there. Let's check on the cookies. The cookies could use another minute or so. There we go. This is coming together like how I expected it to. Of course, these are both going to be done at the same time. Isn't that just how it goes? Okay, I think by the time I mix this, it'll be at the consistency we need it to be. I'm going to turn the heat off. Give it a good stir. And then we're going to just pour it right in here. And don't touch. All right, now this needs to completely cool, so it's just going to stay there. Let's get out the cookies. Yep, there's our crunchy little one. Gonna let those sit for a few minutes, and we'll get them on the cooling rack. Here's how they're looking. That little one just looks cute being all crispy. And then here's this. We still need to get the glaze on top of it, but I want it to cool a little bit more still. And then here's the caramels. I'm just going to let them sit. Looks like they're pretty thin in here. The container that it showed using was like a sheet pan, and I was like, that's gonna be super thin. So I chose this. Hopefully we'll be able to get them out all right. They look kind of blotchy, which is interesting. So I'm wondering if maybe I didn't have everything mixed well enough. That's okay, they should still taste delicious. I'm going to make some coconut chocolates that are like an Almond Joy dupe without the almond, because I have quite a bit of this sweetened condensed milk. So I'm going to add most of this in here, although that makes a ton. I probably don't need quite that much. We'll do about that. I'm just going to eyeball. I feel like it always works out just fine when you're eyeballing the ingredients for a filling. So some coconut flakes. These are sweetened coconut flakes. And then a little bit of powdered sugar. Let me grab a tool to mix. We will start with this. Mix it up. I did already get my chocolate melted, and it's a little hot, and so I'm just letting it cool down so that we don't have any blooming. So I figured let's do this first. Okay, we've got a little bit of filling there. I think as this sits, it'll soak up all that powdered sugar, so we'll just let that sit to the side for a little bit. And I'm going to fill these little bonbon molds. They have horrible reviews, so I'll let you know what I think. I think we're cooled down enough now. So what I'm gonna do is get this turned on, and we're just going to get these 3 molds filled. And then I will put them in the fridge for a little bit to set up. So I'm just tipping it over to get the excess chocolate out, and I don't want to take too much because I want the shell to be decently thick. Okay. I might only have enough to do 2 of these. Also, the silicone mat, kind of a game changer here. Okay, I'm not worried about the bottoms getting messy. Let's do another one. Okay, I'm gonna stick these in the fridge for a little bit, and then we will fill them up. I'm going to try to get this filling into this contraption. This might be a little too thick because of the coconut, but we're gonna try it anyways. Because this I found is so much easier to get the filling inside of the candy. So hopefully it works. I've only ever tried this with a cream, not with something in it like the coconut. Okay, so now that's ready. I didn't put a tip on it. You know, I probably don't need this part either. It's just how it goes. It comes with a lot of different tips, but there isn't one that I think would work well for this. Let's see though. Okay, that pushed it. Looks like it's gonna work. Okay, let's see. The goal is, of course, to fill the inside here. We might have our first clog. Okay, I got these all covered. I ended up having to use a chopstick to get them out. I'm going to stick them in the freezer. The reason that these have such low ratings is because they break when you take them out. So I'm hoping if I put them in the freezer, it'll be fine. And then I need to probably just use a scoop for these. I ran out of chocolate that was melted. So I'm going to scoop these and then I'll probably just save them for later to cover them with chocolate. Okay, here's the rest of the coconut, and I'm going to stick this in the freezer, and the next time I cover anything with chocolate, I will just dip them, and that'll work out well because then I won't have too many chocolates out at once. So these are going in the freezer, and then we need to make up the glaze for our cake. So I am going to add some powdered sugar to a bowl, and I'm just going to use that sweetened condensed milk, which will make it super sweet, but I feel like perhaps that'll make it be more like an ice cream on top. I'm just gonna use the rest of this because what else am I gonna do with it? I'm not really following any type of recipe, I'm just mixing, and I might need to add a little bit of water to thin it out, but I don't wanna do that until after I've given it a second to hydrate, because a lot of times it looks like you're gonna need liquid and then you don't. It might actually be good. This is almost like an icing, which I think I like even better. All right, let's go stick it on our cake. Yes, a few cookies are gone. That little crunchy one was so good, and Nick had one as well. Which I'm impressed that I haven't eaten more than that. Oh, I did look at the box, and yes, this indeed did. I was gonna say did and does at the same time. It does have food coloring in the cake mix, so that's a little ridiculous. Okay, there it is. Okay, it just took forever to get the caramel out. It's a little bit more stiff than I would like it, so I think if I were to do it again, I wouldn't go quite to the temperature that I did. And then these bonbons are actually a little complicated to get out. You have to like pull and then push. Ugh, it's tough. There we go. But they do look really cute. So I guess it's worth it. The reason it's so hard is because they like come together, so you have to make the hole like big enough to get them out. They look really cute though. Well, I broke that one. So far that's the only one. Here's the full spread. We have our delicious cookies, our prepped coconuts that can be dipped. We have our prepped chocolate chip cookies that I can now get into a bag since these have flash frozen. We have our cake. I will let you know in the comments how this is. I'm sure it's delicious. And then we have our candies. And I only had 2 break open, so I feel like that's pretty good. There we go. Alrighty, here is all of our dessert prep. The only thing that didn't turn out is I think this caramel is just a little tackier than I would like it. It's still soft enough to mold it, but I would prefer it to be not quite as tacky on my teeth. But it still worked out. I was able to heat it up a little bit to get it into like a square so I can cut it. I started to cut it and realized I should probably, I don't know, need to think through that. I started cutting it into logs and then I realized I don't know exactly how I want to use it since it's a little bit stickier than I thought it would be. So I'll think through that. But otherwise, we have 1 day left of this 5-day challenge, so stick around for tomorrow. We are making family-size freezer meals, and this is the end of the sweets for now, so I need to eat a cookie, eat a candy, something like that, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.